Hello, good evening, everyone. I just want to wish you a happy Independence Day in advance for tomorrow. Tonight, we have a few objectives. We'll be going over two of the discussion questions that we started in our last session. We will be looking at conducting a literature review, and we'll also be going over question and answer section. The next thing that I'd like to update you on, we were supposed to have a presentation tonight, a case study presentation, but I've postponed that for Thursday of this week because I'd like us to spend the night looking at preparing our literature reviews and what that entails. Okay, so let's see if you know where we are in the course and in the syllabus right now. What week number are we presently in?
Number 6.
Very good. So that gives us an indication that we are in mid-semester, approaching mid-semester. This is when things get real. So most of your teachers seem to plan their assessments just around this time. And I want to encourage you to hang in there, remain focused, remember what your goal is, remember what your objectives are, and you stay focused. Let's see if you know where in our process we are. Is this a practical, a theory, or a research week?
Research, I think.
That's correct. So practical weeks have gone, that was last week. Theory week was the week before that, and now we are in the research week. So this is entering mid-semester, and we are in the week of research. So two questions I'd like us to revisit. Why are systems for collaboration and social business so important? And what technologies do they use? Also, what is the role of information systems function in a business? So when we ask the first question, why are the systems for collaboration and social business important? You may think of how businesses are using social media to gain traffic and generate traffic, which will also advertise what they're doing so persons can come and buy their products or visit them on site if they have a physical location, if they're a brick and mortar that's using online tools to advertise, then they could do that. But these are some of the things, the keywords that I'd like you to pay attention to when you're writing, when you're answering questions in your tests. And speaking of tests, that's coming up soon, and your test will be a multiple choice. But I will encourage you to focus on, going back over the content. All of the slides are there. And if you have been doing the assignments, then you are at least 75% prepared for your assessments, your tests. So these are some of the things that we'd like to hear you speak about: productivity, quality, innovation, customer service, financial performance. And under financial performance, you might speak about sales, profitability, and sales growth. So these are all in the slides, as well as the notes on Moodle. But benefits, whenever we mention benefits, these are some of the things that we're looking for. And I don't have an acronym for this, but if you guys are able to come up with a way to remember these terms and mnemonic or anything, share it with me so that I can share it with the students so that they can also learn that strategy to remember these terms. So productivity, quality, innovation, customer service, and financial performance. Some of the tools that we use would be instant messaging and email. Even though we're moving away from some of these, quite a lot of our transactions and our communication, even our traffic, is generated through emails. So we can't just kick it out the window as yet. Some are using virtual worlds. And then we have collaboration and social business platforms, virtual meeting systems like Zoom. That's what we're using tonight. And of course, they're Google apps. The whole Google suite, we use Google Slides to prepare our PowerPoint. We use Google Sheets to prepare our Excel documents, etc., or spreadsheet documents. We use Microsoft SharePoint, Lotus Notes, etc. And of course, there is an IT department. In your last practical project that you had to do, most of you touched on this. In the information systems department, you will have different classifications of persons. You'll have programmers, systems analysts, information systems managers, and they will fall into a wide array of titles, including your chief information officer, your chief security officer, your chief privacy officer, and your chief knowledge officer. It's a good idea for you to learn the difference between these terms here and to be able to know what each of them represents. And finally, for you to be able to collaborate, there must be an open culture. Their decentralized structure is important, and we also look at the breadth of collaboration. We must look at the technologies being used in addition to the capability, because those will give us the resulting firm performance. All right, so those are just some hints as you prepare for those upcoming assessments. Tonight, we'll be going over the research slides. Like we said, we're in research week. So let me ask another question. Where are all the class recordings located? Can anybody tell me?
On the same sheet where you have our groups, and then the schedule for the case study presentations.
That's right, Zulmi. All right, so just in case persons are not sure, I'm going to just go there. So on our course page, we have our course facilitators and syllabus, and that's where I keep all your resources. In our book, there are 2 sections. You'll go to the second, and your group is OS2. That's going to open up, and this workbook has 3 sheets. The first is your practical project, the second has your case studies, and the last one has all the recordings up to date. So you'll be able to go and just hover over them, click on the week that you're interested in, and they've been classified into the 3 areas that we have in our process. Every first week is the theory week, every second week is our practical week, every third week is research week. The weeks where we don't meet physically, or I don't meet with you, but you meet in your own groups, then you'll notice I only have groups meet there. And like I mentioned, our first session wasn't recorded because I hadn't been given access to this account as yet. So we were using Google Meets and I wasn't able to record at the time. But all the other sessions are there. So for weeks 1 to 3, these are the sessions that you would have had for theory, then practical week, then research week. Similarly, in our second week, I call it the second part because we have 5 weeks of this cycle. In that second part, we have our theory week. Then week 5 would have been last week. We had our practical week, and so we're here at week 6. And this is going to be our research week. So after I've downloaded this, I usually do my uploads in the morning or sometime in the day. All right, so depending on my schedule at work. All right, so my upload time might vary, but this is where we would have those recordings so that you can always go back and if you miss something in class. All right, so today, like I said, I wanted to go back over the research slides, and we're continuing at number 4, looking at the body of knowledge. And tonight in class, you guys will be creating some folders that will help you in preparing your literature review. So what is the body of knowledge? To become a part of the body of knowledge, research has to be conducted, it must be written, peer-reviewed, published in an academic journal, or presented in an academic conference. These are all criteria that makes a piece of work, a paper, an article, a document worthy of being classified as a part of the body of knowledge. By the end of this course, the research project that you are working on is going to be what we call a paper that is going to become a part of the body of knowledge. Why? Because after you've written that document, it will be reviewed by your peers. They're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. In addition to that, we will have other persons, panelists, judges, etc., who are qualified in the area that you're researching, who are going to look over your document and identify areas of strengths, weaknesses. They're going to see what they agree with, what they disagree with. And based on the quality of work that you produce, your work has the potential of becoming a part of this body of knowledge. So it has to be written. Some of us are still in a draft phase, right? Nobody has a completed document as yet. The graded document, the document becomes graded at the end of the semester. So right now we're still in the pre-writing or draft phase. And then after it is written, edited, and you're ready to share it with your peers, it's going to be reviewed by your peers who are going to give you comments so that you can still improve the document. Still not graded as yet. It's after it's been peer reviewed, then we get ready to grade it as administrators, as lecturers, etc. After you have received that, it will be published, and then it will be put in an academic journal associated with the University of Belize. So all of this is going to happen by the end of the semester. You'll also be presenting your work. Now on the screen, you'll see I have in bold, stand on the shoulders of giants. And this is just reminding us that we don't have to create everything. We don't have to create the wheel. Instead, we are going to use the existing knowledge that's out there, use the work that has already been created, and learn from it, or use it to support the points that we're trying to create. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. People have already written about the topics you're interested in, the areas you're researching. However, because they have been a part of the body of knowledge for a lot longer than we have been, we're going to use their work to inform the work that we are presently preparing. So tonight, we'll be using the tool Google Scholar, which will give us access to so many giants that we can stand on their shoulders, right? Body of knowledge. The only complete listing is Google Scholar. We have others that you might know, for example, EBSCOhost. Some of these you have to pay to use them, which is why we prefer to use Google Scholar, because most of the material that we're using are open source. They're free. We can access them without having a specific paid account, with, of course, a few exceptions. We normally read the titles and abstracts of documents if we're not able to read the whole thing. But the abstract is just going to give you a summary of what the document is all about, so that you can quickly browse the documents and see whether or not they're relevant to what you're searching. You can access public papers that show up as PDF files. And if not, you can try other search engines that are out there. All right, so tonight, we'll be using Google Scholar, and I'll be demonstrating that for you. All right, so I'm opening a new tab. I have several open right now, but I'm just going to type scholar.google.com. And of course, you can use the list of applications here to search for it. But for me, it's always easier to just type in the URL. That's what I prefer. So you'll notice that your page looks something like this. And we prefer to use Google Scholar when we're looking at the body of knowledge and trying to get articles for academic purposes, because these are published papers, and that's what separates Google Scholar from just regular Google. From this search engine, we will find papers that have been published, that have been peer reviewed, that have been checked for errors, and that's when they end up in this section of Google. All right, so now that now that we're here, we are able to search for whatever. Normally, we start by searching for information system success model, because that is what we are focusing on right now. Every one of us is trying to determine whether or not the information system being used is one that is successful or not. So we need to find what models exist out there to determine whether or not a system is successful. We don't have the answer, so we need to stand on the shoulders of giants. How do we do that? We search. And they're going to give us a list of documents that we can peruse, but there's a way that you can search to make your life a little easier. We look at the names of the documents, of course, but under the search details, you will notice right next to save, we have cite, cited, we have related articles and versions. These links beneath the topic that you're interested in are also important. Why? It shows us the popularity of the document. 1,093 persons cited this document. But if I look here, I notice that 2,612 persons cited this document instead. We also see the number of revisions that have been made to the document. This one has 8 versions, this one has 11. So from looking at the information, we might realize that this document here was only cited by 107 persons. So it's not as popular as these that we saw earlier in our search. For that reason, this might not be the first option that we go to when we are looking for information system success models. In the right-hand column here, you will also see the type of documents. Here we have PDFs, we have HTML, it tells us the type, and we're able to simply click on it if we want to go straight to the PDF. And this shows us what the document looks like. The abstract is usually the first part of the document that we see, and we can quickly read it to see if this document has any bearing on what we're interested in. Now I'm going back to scholar.google.com. And if I didn't click on the PDF and I clicked on the link there instead, Information Systems Success Revisited, notice it would have taken me to a website from IEEE, and then I would have been able to read the abstract from the web page. It shows me all the details relevant to this document, including the book that I could get it from, who the publisher is, all of that. But it also gives me the PDF document and an option to cite my document. So for those who are lazy to cite your document, you can click on tools like that and it cites it for you. So all you have to do is copy and then paste that into your references. And so these are some of the tools that you're able to use when you come to scholar.google.com. And whenever you're doing research in general, these are some of the tools that you're able to use. So first, you must know what you're looking for. You must be able to determine what makes a document worthy of being one that you investigate and you follow or read more of, etc. So as we go down, we see some more popular documents and we might decide, okay, this one only has 5 versions though. Is it that it was revised 5 times, but because it was cited by so many people, perhaps I should give this one a look as well. So we visited scholar.google.com and now we're going to go into our Google Drive and we will be creating some folders. This will be a practical session, although it's research week. And I'd like us to create 4 folders in our Google Drive. I'll be walking you through the process of creating those folders because each of these folders are relevant to the literature review that we will be working on later in the semester. The first folder we're going to create is one called the Information System Success Model. So I'm going over to my Google Drive folder just to demonstrate. Right? I already have a research folder in there, so I'm just using that, but you can create your own. And then inside this research folder, I have one called Literature Review because I've done this before. So I'm going to just create a new folder for this class. So let's call it Lit Review instead. And this is Cmps 22 OS2. Just so that I can remember that this was the folder I did for your class. So now that I'm inside this folder, I can go ahead and create the first one, which is IS Success Model, right? Now, we demonstrated a while ago that we were able to visit some sites, and I'm going to go back and download this article. You can select the folder you're interested in saving it in. And then I'm double clicking. I'm going to upload this file. I can upload by selecting the file there, or I can upload by dragging it into the folder. Whichever method works better for you, you can go ahead and do that. So this would be one document that I would have in this Information System Success Model folder that later on I'll come back, read it, find out what it's about, and then if it's relevant to the subject area that I'm interested in, the subject area that I'm researching, then I can write about it in my literature review. If it's not, then I have to get rid of it. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys a second to go ahead and open Google Drive, and you're going to create a folder for research if you haven't created one already. And inside that folder, you're creating another directory called Information System Success Model. When you're finished, just type done in the chat. Okay, I see one person is done. Anybody else needs more time? Okay. Awesome. So we've created one folder and you have the idea, and we'll basically be doing that 4 more times. But these are the names, 3 more times, but these are the names that I'd like you to have on your folders. The first folder we just created was that called Information System Success Model. And we're looking only for information system success models that exist. And we're going to download those documents and upload them into these folders. The next folder that we're interested in creating is an information system success model based on the information system classification that you're researching. Let's say, for instance, you are conducting a research on Moodle at UB. So the type of information system that Moodle would fall under is a learning management system. Therefore, we'll go back to our search engine, Google Scholar, and we would have here LMS, because this is an information system success model for learning management systems. If it was a MIS or a decision support system or an executive support system, we would have put in the correct type of system that it falls under, and then look at the articles that we can find. So I'm seeing one here only cited by 137 persons, but this one was only cited by 3. We see this one doesn't even list how many persons cited it. 163 persons, 4 persons, etc. 18 persons. So we can look at the different articles that are there and determine based on the popularity and the number of citations, which of them we would be interested in. For this demonstration, I am simply going to go with the first one. And notice by clicking on the link that we saw there, it takes us to the document, the website rather, and there we're able to determine if we'd like to download it, preview it, etc. So now that I click download, it takes me to the page, the download page, and I can go ahead and download. So I now have another document here, right? Now that I've selected my document and I have a new folder that I'm going to create in my file, I'm going to create that folder, new folder, Information System Success Model, or LMS. And I'm going to drag this into my folder. I can do other searches for the same topic because we'd like to have several articles that we can compare and see what other authors are saying about learning management systems or whatever information system you did, executive support systems that fall into the category we're looking at. So I have two folders. The third folder that I'm going to create is my information system success model. This time I'm looking at success model for developing countries. So I do the same thing again. Let's create the folder first. I do another search at Google Scholar, and here I'm seeing that 215 persons cited this article by La-Dene and McLean. We keep seeing La-Dene and McLean popping up, and this is one of the articles that every one of you have to include in your research. If I don't see a reference to La-Dene and McLean in your document, it means that you didn't do a proper paper and you probably won't pass the course. I must see the La-Dene and McLean model in your document somewhere. As a matter of fact, when we ask you to do the reading assignment about the literature review, you will see why we ask you to reference the La-Dene and McLean model. All right, later on, when you reach, I think it's about page 193 here. Where is it? And don't worry, when I say 193, it's not starting at 0. This is just a segment of a book, 198. We ask you to speak about models in your literature review. La-Dene and McLean has a model that's already created that you can learn as much as you can about that model, explain that model in your own words, and reference those giants, those authors who already created this model that many persons are still using. And so that's one of those papers that you have to include in your document, La-Dene and McLean's Information System Success Model. So this one takes me to the website. I have the PDF links that I can download. And now I'm going to my folder and I'm going to add it there. So the last one is the Information System Success Model for developing countries based on, again, the classification of system that I'm doing. So I'm doing a learning management system. So let me go and create my folder. And again, I look at the popularity and I can choose any one of the links based on that. So I found this one, but I've already used this in another folder, so I can look for another article, right? Let's look at this one. Now, of course, you will read the documents before you download them or add them to folders, but I'd like to just show you the process tonight so that you have an idea of what you'll actually be doing before you actually start writing your literature review. So the literature review is not your ideas or your opinions. It's you summarizing other person's papers, you summarizing their findings and what they have to say about the success of models, information system models in developing countries, the success of information system models in general, and the success of information models based on the type of information system you are studying. So you're not writing, I believe, that, you're writing what have persons who have published papers said about this type of information system, what have they documented, and what can we share in our paper now about this information system based on what's already in existence. Okay, so that's why we refer to it as standing on the shoulders of giants, and also using the body of knowledge. So everything that has been published becomes a part of this body of knowledge, and it becomes available to us for us to use it for our research, for our information, and for us to develop systems that are going to be beneficial to companies, to entities, based on the needs that they have. Many peer-reviewed journals are published by persons for profit. There are also persons who might be just publishing it for nonprofits as well, but usually these may be purchased or leased by individuals or organizations so that you can read them. They're subscription-based journals, for example, EBSCOhost, database, search engines, etc. Now, this was the UB login information, but I know that several changes have occurred since the pandemic struck, so this information might no longer be accurate. But we do use Google Scholar, and we try to look for those journals that are free or open to the public. All right, so what's a literature review? You can't conduct a research without a literature review. It's the second chapter in your document. Researchers doing at the master's level often spend 6 months to a year reading all prior research on the topic from the body of knowledge. However, you are not master's level students. So we're making this simple. We're already telling you what you need to search for. You're looking at information system success models and how they apply to the type of information system you're studying. So we've narrowed the topic for you, and now you just have to find relevant articles, read up on those, and then write up your paper based on what others have said. For this reason, we're asking you to download 10 to 20 papers relevant to your study. And those papers will be added to the different folders that you have on the Google Drive. You have 4 folders, and we expect you to add your papers there. How do you determine if a paper is relevant to your study? Well, look at the title. It will let you know if it's relevant or not. For example, if you're studying learning management systems, but you download an article about executive support systems, we see that it might not necessarily have a relationship there. So you might discard that document and keep looking. If you think it's relevant, read the abstract, confirm its relevance, and then your chosen paper should be both relevant, recent, and finally, they must be published in the top MIS journals or conferences. The reading assignment I gave you speaks about how to determine what are top ranking journals. And you can also do a quick Google search to find out what are top ranking journals. But in there, in that document, it lists several top ranking journals that you can actually go and look up when you're searching. All right, so this is just a snapshot of that page from the reading assignment. So some other examples of top journals and conferences, you have the ICIS, and these are all listed here. So these are some of the conferences that persons would go to. They would present their papers, they would publish their papers, and of course, the panel would review it, peers would review it, and they would give feedback to these persons so that they can fine-tune their paper. So at this time, I'd like us to go ahead and create a simulation. In your folders, in your Google Drive, I'd like you all to create those 4 folders. You share it with your team. You share it with your team. So the group leader could actually create a main folder, and each group member could create one folder inside that main folder. Since there's 5 of you in most groups, for groups that have less than 5, the group leader might have to create 2 folders. So you share that link with me, and my email is not kryan, it's lforrester@ub.edu.bc, just so that I can see that you have created those folders. So you guys can go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to take the attendance while you're doing that. Shanley?
Present, Miss.
Tiricha? Not here. Shanice? Juana?
Here, Miss.
Tiana?
Here, Miss.
Vanetta?
Here, Miss.
Dominique?
Right here.
Karen?
Here, Miss.
Keisha?
Here.
Martha?
Miss Keisha, here, Miss.
Okay, thank you, Keisha. Shanika?
Here, Miss.
Zolmi?
Here.
Natasha?
Here, Miss.
Diona? Gabriel? Oh, thank you, Diona. Gabriel? Not here. Starla?
Yeah.
Jalen?
Present.
Annalie? Not here. All right. So the persons I have marked absent are Annalie, Gabriel, Shanice, and Tiricha.
Miss, you never call my name.
That's Daniel.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, so each group leader should have created a research folder, and inside there you would have your group members. After you've shared the link with them, they would each create one of those folders that I mentioned. I'm going to share my screen again so that you could see the list of folders that you should have. After you've created those folders as well, your group leader will just share with me the link to your main folder so that as you populate them, I will be able to view your success throughout the course.
Miss, one quick question. So the folders that we made while you were going along, we won't use those?
I'd like you to just have one for the group. So that was just demonstration. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and delete what I have.
Yes, you can do that. Okay, so what I will be assigning you to work on as a group is to prepare just a draft document. And this will not be graded until the end of the course, of course, but I'd like to see a draft of you getting some articles, reviewing them, reading them, and then writing up a draft of a literature review. On the 27th of September, I'd like each group to just briefly present, less than 5 minutes, briefly present what you were able to come up with as a group. And in class, we're going to provide feedback to you just to guide you along the way. All right, so the idea is that even though it's not yet going to be graded, you would have something to start with and you could continue to work on it gradually as the course progresses. To be able to do that, however, you must do the reading assignment. So let me show you that reading assignment once more. On Moodle, we have the research week. And of course, you have the research slides, which were the ones that I was using a while ago, these slides here. But you'll also have an example of a final research paper that you can just look at if you want some idea of what you will be creating by the end of this course. Gradually, you're working on a document that will look something similar to this. It will have a title, an abstract, and a brief introduction. The introduction is basically what you did in your first assignment when you spoke about the learning management system. Well, in this case, it's looking at a learning management system, the information system that you were studying from the entity that you studied for your website. If you decided not to use the same organization as you did in Practical Project 1, then you still need to write about the type of information system that they're using and just give us a brief introduction to that system. The literature review is just summarizing what authors are saying about information system success. So in this case, the author is speaking about e-learning success research. So he starts by finding several authors and comparing their writing. For example, Piccoli, Ahmad, and Ives 2001. And then he has another group of authors for 2004 and then 2005. But they're comparing traditional learning to e-learning. And then they're saying, is e-learning more successful than traditional learning? But they can't just come up with a response without looking at what other authors are saying. So some authors are saying, yes, e-learning is good, but we didn't see some improved performance here and there. Others are arguing traditional learning is better, face-to-face learning is better. So what are the authors saying? What have their studies concluded? And you can summarize those and write about them in your literature review. They go on to speak about the major focus of adoption. And in adoption, they're speaking about the models. So remember I told you that you need to speak about the success models. Here you have to write what are authors saying about the different types of models that are out there. Here they compare the TAM, the UTAT, and the TAM2. So you need to go and find out what are the information system success models. Which ones can you write about? How can you compare them? What are authors saying about them? And then of course they go on to looking at the expectation confirmation theory. So there are other aspects, and as you read, you'll be able to find out what your subtopic should be in your literature review. These folders that you've created also should give you a guide on the areas that you're focusing on as you write your literature review. It doesn't have to be something very long, but it must be detailed, it must be thorough and well researched. Okay, so for now, all you're working on is a draft of a literature review, sharing with us what are the information system success models that you were able to find. What are authors saying about the different ones that you found? What are the information systems success models relevant to the topic you just researched, or the information management system rather that you are researching? And then later on, you can speak to us about those same things, but for developing countries. So I'm expecting at least 4 paragraphs, just sharing what you've learned so far. You might decide that one group member is going to focus on one area, another group member focuses on another area, or you might have somebody who loves to write in your group, and that person might say, I'm going to take the whole literature review, I'm going to write about all of it, all the different areas, and then you have somebody else in your group edit and ask questions, critique, so that it can be improved. Whatever strategy you use, it must be one that allows you to give the best quality work. All right, any questions so far?
Miss, this literature review has on.
Kindly repeat, I didn't hear the last part.
I'm just asking because I'm doing a work similar to it, but does this review has a conclusion in it? Because I saw you had an introduction, an abstract, and something else.
Yes, it does. It does. But I didn't mention it a while ago. Let me see if I can go back to it. And usually that comes later on. But for right now, I just wanted you guys to focus on the 4 areas. So you'll notice that they will summarize the points later on, and at the end of the entire document, let me go all the way to the end. Ooh, where is it? In the last chapter, trying to get back up, they will summarize the main points. So after the results, you have your discussion and conclusion, but you're not there yet. So right now, you will write about those 4 areas. And of course, in your literature review, you will summarize the points that you spoke about in that document. So that last paragraph can be used as your summary there. But the document, I'm not sure if you were asking about the overall document, if that has a conclusion. If that was the question, then yes, the overall document does have a conclusion as well. And that conclusion will just be a summary of all the chapters that you spoke about and all the points you highlighted. All right, so let me go back to the reading assignment. So down here under research, you'll notice there is a URL that says IS Research How to Conduct a Literature Review. Now this document is the one that I've been referring to in the presentation. And it starts, okay, so it says Informing Science Journal, Volume 9, 2006. And it is written the same way you would have written a literature review. All right, so it tells you what it is, the stages that are involved in the literature review. For example, they're the inputs. That's what we're doing right now. Then the processing, you have to know what the literature says. So when you present to me on the 27th, although it's not graded, I want you to be familiar with the literature. Tell me, okay, Villa et al. 2014 said XXXXX or YYYYY. And you have to be able to say, okay, this is why I believe that he has added value to this research. You have to be able to understand what the literature is saying, how it applies to your research, and be able to analyze it for your purposes, your research purposes. We are able to synthesize and evaluate. This whole processing part takes up quite a bit of time, but then it produces the outputs that we're able to use in our literature review. So we also look at why we conduct it, and there are 5 points here that supports the reason why we conduct it. Helps us to understand what's in the body of knowledge, provides theoretical foundation. So it's not our ideas, it's what's already proven, and we're using it to substantiate what we are saying. We can stand with authority because that authority comes from what has already been written in black and white and proven. It's been a part of the body of knowledge. And we can say, okay, this is why we have made this claim. This is why we have made this statement in our document, because Webster and Watson 2002 said X, Y, and Z. And based on their theory, we can conclude X, Y, and Z. So you have to make everything informed by other researchers from the body of knowledge. The parts that I ask you to also pay specific attention to are, for example, this page right here. You want to look at the ranked MIS journals, because these are the ones that has articles that persons refer to quite often. These are our authorities. So for example, we have ProQuest, that's one of them. We have, these are the vendor databases rather. And then over here, we have the journals. So you have your vendor databases. These are ones you may have to pay for or rent. But then you also have MIS Quarterly, Management Science, Journal of MIS, that are top journals that you can review. And those are the journals that people usually place a lot of emphasis on because of the authority that they have, like IEEE, etc. All right, so the other area that I would like you to go through with a fine-tooth comb is page 198, like I mentioned earlier. Let's go all the way down. Here, the importance of using the model. So even when you find the model that you're going to speak about in your information system success models research, you will try to find out as much as you can about how that model works and why it's going to be useful. Why is it that the Delone and McLean model is so important when we look at success in information systems? Why? What have they contributed to the body of knowledge? And why is it that people keep referring to them when they're determining whether or not a system is successful? So there are some things that they can contribute to your research, and we'd like to find out what those things are so that you can write about them. All right, so this is your reading assignment. You can decide to split it up as a group and then use it as a guide, but we will be going over this in class when we meet on Tuesday, just to see how far you are in that draft process of your literature review, what roadblocks you ran into, and what you have learned during the process. Any questions so far? All right, so the draft, I'd like you to have it ready for the 27th. So when will Ms. Lambeck be grading this literature review?
The end of the semester, Miss, with the final project.
Thank you. All right, so it's not going to be graded on the 27th, but you will be sharing it in class, just how far you are on the 27th, so that we as a class can start preparing you for presenting before a panel. All right. On Thursday when we meet, we'll be having our case study presentation, just reminding you how we grade your case studies. 70% goes towards content, 15% towards delivery, and another 15% towards AV. All right. Your reading assignment is due, I have here Thursday, but this should be Wednesday. All right. So that would be when we meet again, we're going to discuss what you understood from it so far. So pause here for tonight. When we meet again on Thursday, we're going to continue. And I will remain after the session just in case anybody has any questions that they would like to ask. All right, so the rest of the class is dismissed. Only persons who have questions, you can stay back.
Good night, Miss.
Thank you, Miss. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Miss.
Good night, everyone.
Miss?
Yes, go ahead.
Miss, I'm just checking because I know I could see the replies and response from forum 2. Well, that was with globalization, I believe. I just to check see if it get graded or if you could see it, Miss, because I'm not sure. I tried to search mine and I can't find my forum 2.
All right, let me check. Just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's go. I'm still grading you guys' forum. I just finished grading some of your practical projects. I have them in my Excel sheet, so I haven't added the grade to Moodle as yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Miss, regarding the assignment, with the second assignment, I see you replied on my assignment and you said that I should add the presentation video as well.
Yes.
But 2 of the link is there. It's just that where it says online text, there's like a plus button there. When you press the full view, you'll see the 2 links there. One for presentation and one for the video.
Okay, thanks,
so
Tiana. Right. Yes, Tiana, I'm seeing yours.
Okay, Miss.
Yeah, yours is there.
Okay.
Yes, Dominic?
Yes, Dominic here. Yes, the same presentation that was due on Sunday, I believe, yeah. I shared it, the presentation itself personally, but the group leader shared the actual slides. That's okay, right? Because I didn't see another link there for me to insert the actual presentation slides, the Google slides.
Okay. Usually I prefer when all the group members submit everything, but in case, because I've changed the way I've graded this one, I put it in the spreadsheet first and I have my rubric. So it will automatically just assign the grade this time. All right. So it won't affect you for not having it.
Okay, just checking, because like I said, only one slot, it says one upload, right? So yeah. I uploaded the link.
Yeah, but there. I do prefer when you have both, because it does for transparency. Sometimes the university, they ask, okay, this student didn't meet X, Y, and Z requirements, so why are they getting this grade? So we have to be able to justify as well. Another reason why I was asking each student to upload was because when you don't individually upload, it didn't allow me to input a grade. Yeah.
All right, Miss. Good night.
All right, good night.
Miss?
Yes, Karen?
For the IS research on how to conduct the literature review that is on Moodle, it is asking me for permission. It's not open yet, not true?
Let me see. I'm gonna go on the page and let's see if it's the same one.
It says you need access to
go down chapter 2, research. It's this one, IS research, how to conduct a literature review.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, mine is open. Can somebody else try just to see if you get the same error and the same message?
Miss, I get the same message. That's what I was waiting to ask, actually.
Okay.
Same thing, Miss.
All right, what I might have to do then is to probably find a different way to share it with the class. All right, so I'm gonna do that, and then group leaders could make sure that every group member has access to it. So I'm glad you guys brought that up so we could fix that. All right, any other questions while I'm sharing this? Okay.
Miss, you said that we have a reading assignment that is due. I'm kind of lost on that one. I don't know if it's just me. I sit here for the entire class, and sometimes I feel like I'm missing some important information, and I don't know how.
Okay, so the reading assignment is the same document we're looking at. I just gave it to you today.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, and so I'm asking you just to read it so that you can be familiar with it. It speaks about how to prepare a literature review. Yeah.
I was freaking out because I thought it was a homework.
No,
Okay.
no, it's something I asked you to do while we're working on the research week.
Okay, thanks very much, Miss.
Yeah. I think you're stressing because it's mid-semester, and this is a time where a lot of people get overwhelmed.
Partially. That's why I was wondering, but what homework did I miss? I'm trying to make sure that I do everything. I don't want the same thing to happen. Freaking out.
Yeah. So far, most students in this class have been on top of, their assignments, and I must commend them on that. Yeah. All right. So I just sent the class the email with this link. Could you guys check to see if you saw that email and then see if you're able to open it?
Yes, Miss, I'm able to access it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so this is the reading assignment, Natasha. It's just to read what a literature review is, and then when we come to class Thursday, we're going to discuss. I know you might not be able to finish the document, but the idea is that throughout the semester, you continue reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Miss.
Sure. All right. Any other questions, guys?
Yes, Miss. Sorry, I got into class late too. Can you please repeat as to how we are to create the folder and what we'll do within the folder? Because you said that the group leader is to create the folder, and then the group member should add the folder too. But I'm a little confused on that. Can you please?
Oh, okay.
Explain on that.
So first, I was telling everybody just to try it with me together, and I realized you might have gotten confused with that. So in the folder that your group leader will create, he or she is just creating a folder for you to add all the content for your literature review. And these are the folders you're going to have inside. So one is going to speak only about the information system success model. And we name the folders like this so that you know what to search for in Google Scholar. To create the folder, you would click on the plus icon here that says new, and then just click new folder, and you give it the name. All right, I'm just going to call this IS Success Model 2 because I already have a folder in there with that same name, right? And when I go to Google Scholar now, I can look for articles on information system success model and download an article. And then when I've found, a sufficient amount of articles that I would like to research on based on that same topic, then I can upload it to the folder. right? So I have some here that I already downloaded, and I can just drag them into the folder. That's one way to add, or I can click new file upload, and then from my list of downloads, I can find the file that I wanted, and it's going to be added that way. So that's basically what we will be doing.
So that's what all the group members, the rest of the group members need to do, right?
Right. So in the folders, you want to have articles. The document said 10 to 20 articles, so you can distribute those among the folders. You can start with 5, since there are 4 folders, 5 documents each. We encourage you to do more than that, because sometimes limiting it to just 5 articles, you might not find adequate information, but you can start there, right? So each person can find 5 articles depending on the topics that you have here, right? So for example, this one is just information system success model. You might want to find another one about the information system success model. This one has 247 citations, I mean. This one has 2612. But again, you want to make sure it's not the same article that you're downloading. I'll just pick a random one for demonstration. All right, so let's use this one. All right, so this has the citation. Let me go back. I'm not seeing the download link. All right, so I'll go here. When you don't see the download link, you can always come to the side. Beside it, there's that right column, and that would take you straight to the document to download. So I'll download this one. And then I can go back to my folder and upload that here as well. So let's go to long way, file upload. P7 was the last one I downloaded, and there it is. So I need 5 documents in here, and then I can open them individually, read about them. I can start with the abstract. So the La-Dene and McLean IS success model, yada, yada, yada. So I read and I say, okay, this looks at over 150 articles. It referenced the model, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this seems to be something I can use. Second one, I can read, okay, this one doesn't show an abstract. Okay, here's the abstract. So it says 10 years ago, the La-Dene and McLean model was presented, and it goes on, and it shows what aspect of that model it speaks about or how it's referring to that model. And then I can decide to use it in my document. Right, so basically, you'll be doing that for each folder. So if I wanted to find it for a learning management system, same thing. Instead of just the La-Dene and McLean, or if you had a MIS, Management Information System, you would look for this information system success model for that type of information system you have. If it was an executive support system, you would have typed that instead. So a factor for structural equation analysis, etc. Right? So the idea is that these folders, the names of these folders, these folders right here are going to help you to know what to search for when you go into Google Scholar. And you'll find 5 articles for each of the folders. All right, is that clear?
Yes, Mom.
Okay.
Yes, Miss, but I'm trying to look for the one my group leader did, and I am not finding it.
Okay, probably they haven't shared the link as yet, or did they?
Let me just quickly ask them.
Yeah, if they haven't shared it, then you might not see it.
Miss, so this is what you're telling us about for next week, Tuesday, where we will just present just a small presentation, each group, about the lit review that they're going to do based on the research that we've done, right?
That's correct. So I will be asking you to tell me what papers you found. I'll ask you to show the class your folder. And if you started writing anything, I'd ask you to show us that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not expecting a complete document. I just want to see where you are in the process. That's it.
Okay. Thanks, Miss. Another question, Miss. For this class, do we have a textbook, right?
All right. Yes, you do have a textbook, but Dr. Ryan has made all the content available on Moodle because we know that some persons might not want to purchase the textbook since we're only using 5 of the 12 chapters. So what has been done is that for each chapter, let me see if I can show you. For example, in chapter 1, you get the slides as well as the lecture notes. So the lecture notes is an equivalent to chapter 1 of the textbook. And you get that for each chapter.
Okay, thanks, Miss.
Sure. And of course, the slides are there as well. You have them for each chapter. So if you're not willing to purchase the book because you're only using 5 of the 12 chapters, these are available to you. Yeah, so always look for lecture notes. That's where you'll find basically the summarized version of the textbook by chapter. And then, of course, you have the slides. All right. So I hope you guys are able to get those folders created and work with your group on doing so, because I know sometimes group work can be a challenge, but I'm hoping that this class will be able to rise to the occasion and still do an excellent job. All right, so we're practically out of time. If you think of any other questions apart from the ones that you were able to ask tonight, you can send me an email. And as soon as I'm able to, I will respond, or you can send a message on the phone as well. All right, you guys enjoy the 21st. Have a wonderful 21st, and I hope that you'll be ready for the next session.
You too, Miss. Bye.
Thanks, you too, Miss.
You're welcome. Thank you.